Hello, children. Wishing you all a lovely day again. So, we were continuing with the chapter agriculture, and we have almost reached the end of the chapter. Just few paragraphs are left. So, let us complete this portion today itself. We were doing our impact of globalization on agriculture, and the previous day itself you have watched the video on how the green revolution is really harmful for the ecology, for the human beings, those who are growing them, those who are consuming them, and the ecology is very much damaged because of this. No doubt there has been an increase in the food production of the country, in the crop production of the country, but still it is having a lot of disadvantages, a lot of side effects. And the solution that was given was the developing of genetically modified seeds, and the crops that will be growing from it will solve the problem. Now, in your book, children, there is a question given: can you name any gene modified seed used vastly in India? So, the one which is vastly used in India is cotton, and experiments are going on other seeds also. Maize or corn is also being produced from these genetically modified seeds, but the commonest one, or the one which is used on a large scale, is cotton. Nowadays there is one word which is much in practice, that is organic farming. Now, this organic farming has been introduced in some states like Sikkim, and Uttarakhand is also trying to introduce it on a large scale. In fact, Sikkim is the only state of our country where the total farming is organic farming. Now, this organic farming is greatly advocated by the environmentalists. So, what actually is it? So, organic farming is a method of crop and livestock production, both crop as well as livestock. Livestock means the cattle. So, method of crop livestock production that involves the exclusion of, I have said exclusion, that means we do not use any kind of synthetic or chemical fertilizers, pesticides, growth regulators. Growth regulators, they are certain kinds of chemicals added which will suddenly increase the size of the or the growing of the crop will become very much more faster. Or suppose the size will be oversized. Sometimes you will find that in the market we will get some vegetables which are oversized, like oversized cauliflower, or you can say this bottle gourd, that is your lauki. It is so long in size, and in this way these are growth hormones that are pushed into the crop, and suddenly overnight they will achieve a very huge size. So just like sometimes growth hormones are also given to the human beings, sometimes in the form of steroids. So for the plants also these growth regulators are administered so that the size increases. So in case of organic farming, there is no use of such growth regulators or growth hormones. There is no use of genetically modified organisms and livestock food additives. So there is no anything added that is going to harm the environment, that is going to harm the human beings, those who are consuming it. So this is an environment friendly type of farming. Now, this type of farming can also promote self sufficiency in the country or bring food security in the country. There are, of course, some vital benefits like the soil's organic composition is preserved, the original organic composition is preserved. It reduces the risk of human, animal, and environmental exposure to toxic materials. It maintains and improves the soil fertility, soil structure, and biodiversity, and also reduce erosion of the soil. So the biodiversity is also preserved, the soil fertility is also preserved, environmental degradation does not take place, and the soil erosion is also stopped to a great extent, because the use of chemicals greatly makes the soil infertile or barren in the long run. The soil body also dries up, and when it dries up, it is easily exposed to different agents of erosion, and soil erosion may take place. Children, I will like to share one small incident with you all. One day I was watching the TV where one farmer, he was saying that they had used, he along with some fellow farmers, they were farming red chilies in Madhya Pradesh. Now, they were practicing organic farming. So, the interviewer who was asking him, they inquired, what type of method do you use to prevent the attack by pest? Because as there is no use of any chemical pesticides, such type of farms can be easily affected by pest or any kind of insects. Now this farmer, he said that we used to apply water, along with that they used to add some this turmeric is haldi, and this they used as a spray on the crop. Not only that, they said that they used to ring these bells, like huge bells they used to ring, and the sound waves that used to be produced due to the ringing of these bells, after a gap of every half an hour, they used to ring bells in different corners of the farm, and the resonance of this bell, the echo of the sound, used to produce such vibrations by which there was no attack by any kind of virus to the crop. So in an organic way they used to farm, and they were saying that there were many other farms very close to their farms which were affected or infected by pest, but their farm did not get infected by pest due to the ringing of these bells, and this echo, the sound of the echo produced such sound waves that it did not allow any virus to attack the crop. So such a unique feature, children. So this organic farming can greatly help us with health benefits of the food that we are eating. But organic farming also has its own share of disadvantages, like the farm productivity is quite low, as they are not using any kind of growth hormones, they are not using any kind of chemical fertilizers to increase the soil productivity. So the farm productivity is low. As a result, you will find that the products that we buy from the market as organic products, they are expensive in price. So they are expensive because the cost of production of such crops is high, and because the farm productivity is less quantity is produced, and so they are very much expensive to produce. So higher cost of production is another disadvantage, and in our country there is still now inefficient marketing and distribution of the products by the small farmers. So if the small farmers are producing it, they do not have proper marketing facilities to market to distant markets. So because they cannot bear the high transportation cost, so this makes the products availability very limited, and the prices goes high. And as the middle income group of our country is more, they do not try to afford or they do not try to buy these products, these organic products, because they are costlier. So organic farming is no doubt a very good way, a healthy way of farming, but it is also having its own share of disadvantages. So our economists think that Indian farmers have a bleak future, they have a very dull future, because the farmers are farming on small plots of land, and the plots of land become smaller and smaller in size as the population increases, because with every generation there is division of the plots of the land. So a huge population, India's rural population is huge, but in comparison to that, the land that is available for cultivation is quite less or quite small. What is important now is to increase the productivity of our farms, and at the same time increase the income of our farmers. So what is the solution? The solution is that our Indian farmers should diversify their cropping pattern. That is, instead of growing cereals, our Indian farmers should grow high value crops. Now high value crops are those which will fetch a better income or earning for the farmers. So what are these high value crops? The high value crops are the mainly horticulture crops, that is the fruits, the vegetables. Apart from that, your spices, condiments. Condiments are the different material that we add to the food to enhance the flavor and the color. So as I said, condiments, spices, vegetable, fruits, flowers, and sometimes there are some exotic house plant foliage, like for example lemongrass, wheatgrass. They are used in very small quantity, but some of the people, they are using it, they are quite costly. So this kinds of, or there are many kinds of medicinal herbs, like for example in this coronavirus situation, there is nowadays a lot of talk about including tulsi or basil in the diet, and special reference is being made to this sweet tulsi or the sweet basil leaves. So in this way, children, in many areas of Punjab, Haryana, large areas are being devoted for cultivation of flowers, and these flowers are supplied not only to the wedding venues, the wedding ceremonies or the wedding venues of our country, but also huge quantities of flowers are flown abroad to different countries for decorating the wedding venues, or for any kind of functions or events. These flowers are used, and they fetch a good profit to our farmers. So what is being said nowadays is that the Indian farmers should better diversify their crop. Instead of growing cereals, they must grow these high value crops. But among these high value crops, there are some crops which are biodiesel crops. Now, what are these biodiesel crops? The biodiesel crops are those crops from which oil is extracted, and this oil can be extracted from the oil seeds like your soybean, safflower, sunflower, and it can be used not only for cooking, but it can be used as a fuel also, like for example fuel in the engines. So they are non-polluting, that is an advantage, non-toxic, non-polluting, and they are biodegradable, so they reduce the pollution level. So they can be easily used in the diesel engine, like we have rapeseed, soybean, mustard seed, flax, hemp, canola oil, palm oil, jatropha. So these biodiesel crops, they are a source of fuel also. Apart from the cooking medium, we are using them as a cooking medium, but in some of the countries, world countries, they are also used as a fuel, but they are very, very costly. They are quite costly. So this biodiesel crop, if they are grown and if they are sold, they will earn a high income. Like in case of jatropha, children, after the oil is extracted, whatever material is left over, the residue, that is also used for feeding the fishes or the animals. Similarly, jojoba is a crop that grows as a shrub, and it grows in the dry areas. It can grow without much irrigation water. In Rajasthan, it is grown in our country, and jojoba oil is used as a medicine, and it is generally used for treatment of certain kinds of skin ailments like acne, pimples, irritation in the skin. So if we are growing this kind of crop, Indian farmers will earn a better living. So India's diverse climate can be harnessed to grow a wide range of crops. But here again the question arises that India is a country where the population is high, lot of supply of food grains is required for the poor section of the people. So if the farmers stop growing these cereals and they start growing this high value crop, what will happen to the food security of the country? We will again have to depend upon imports, and if we are dependent upon imports, then indirectly we will again be controlled by some country, some other country which may be mightier than us and may try to interfere in our internal matter. So whether our country is ready to face that or not, that is still questionable, but still we have to see that the earning of the farmers increases and our economy, especially in the agricultural or the primary sector, must prosper. Now children, coming to the end of the chapter, I have given you some homework. I am reading out the questions. Try to answer them, and in my next class, which will be online class, I will try to answer the questions, and you will also please try to find a solution to this answer. So our first question is, mention any 5 advantages of the improved technology for the agricultural sector. Any 5 advantages of the improved technology. So improved technology, I am saying, that means I am referring to the technological development that has taken place during globalization. So mention any 5 advantages of the improved technology for the agricultural sector. You can also take this from the green revolution also, as well as the technological advancement during globalization. From you will read the notes of this, both this, and you will try to find a answer to this. My second question: how did globalization affect India in pre-independence period? So during pre-independence period, what type of products were exported from our country or taken out from the country, and what the farmers were forced to grow? Third question: what should be done by our government to make our agriculture more competitive at the global level? So you will write the solution by yourself. That is, what should be your suggestion? What do you suggest the government to make the agricultural sector more competitive at the global level? Then fourth question: what are the suggestions provided by the modern economists to improve the stagnant condition of agriculture in India? What can be its impact on our economy? I am again repeating, what are the suggestions provided by the modern economists to improve the stagnant condition of agriculture in India? What can be its impact on our economy? Fifth question: how has development of irrigation system affect the agriculture of our country? So, how has the development of irrigation system affected the agriculture of our country? And sixth question: how do we say that India has an agrarian economy? How do we say that India has an agrarian economy? Agrarian means agriculture based economy. So you all think about this question. In rough, you all write down the points. In my next class, which will be an online class, I will discuss what should be there in your answer, and then you can fill them up. In that class, I will also discuss the questions which are there at the back of your chapter. They are quite easy, of course, easy questions at the back of your chapter, and by this time you must be able to answer those questions as well. So children, I will send you the snapshots of the notes. It's very little bit of notes: organic farming and water biodiesel crops. Only that much is there. Advantage, disadvantage of organic farming. So anyway children, with that I will come to the end of your chapter, and then we have map work left of the third chapter, which I will do in my which I'll do after completing the question answers of this chapter. Thank you children. Have a good day.